Good morning and happy Sunday to you. So glad to see you here this morning, starting your week off right with Sundays with Sam. And I would like for you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ask your friends and family to subscribe and just have some other folks come on in and join in with you on Sunday mornings to start your week off with Sundays with Sam. And we know that you're doing your own devotional on Monday through Saturday, right? Right. I just have to kind of remind you or just ask you that question every now and then just to remind you. So today we're going to talk about the widow woman. Now it's just been kind of, I don't know if you would call it a coincidence or not, but I don't know. With God, nothing is coincidental. But over the last couple of weeks, I would say, I have been in situations where 3 different times they've been talking about the widow woman. I said, okay, God, so what's going on with this widow woman? I must need to really pay attention to what you're saying with this widow woman story. So I thought, you know what? If it's important for me to pay attention to it, then y'all must need to hear about it too and think about the situation with the widow woman. So, of course, now I'll put my own little spin on what I think about the widow woman. But we're going to just jump into it, okay? So we're coming from 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7. And this passage of scripture discusses the widow woman's plight after her husband passed away. So she was in an economic crisis because she didn't have any money. Her husband left her with these mounds of bills and all this debt. So she was in a crisis. She was in an emotional crisis because her feelings were just all over the place. She was feeling some type of way. She just felt like her back was up against the wall because she just didn't know what she was going to do. She just felt like she was in dire straits. She was in a familial crisis because back in that time, they would come get your children. If you had old debt, they would come and get the kids and make them bond servants. And she had some sons, so she knew that they were going to come and get her sons, and I'm feeling on that because I got 3 sons, and it's like, hey, don't mess with my babies now. Hey, don't come for my children. So I know she was in a crisis in that way as well. And she was in a spiritual crisis. She knew the word, and she had been quoting her scriptures and everything, just believing God, but her faith was just starting to waver a little bit. And y'all know how sometimes when we start looking at the circumstances, then we can start to kind of getting a little bit anxious. So she thought about, she was like, well, hey, my husband was ministering with the prophet Elijah, before he passed, and they was pretty cool. So let me just go talk to the prophet. See, can I get some spiritual advice, to just kind of figure out what's going on, because I really definitely feel like, hey, I'm in this crisis situation. So that's what she did. She said, okay, let me go talk to the prophet. So when she got to Elijah, she explained the situation, what was going on, and he asked her what she had in her house. And she was like, prophet, I ain't got nothing. I got this little jar of oil, and that's it. I don't have nothing else. So he said, okay, so what I want you to do is just go to your neighbors, go wherever, I want you to go borrow some vessels, whatever kind you can get. If it's bowls, if it's vases, if it's jars, whatever, just get some empty vessels. And in looking at the Message translation, it says, and not just a few. I need you to get all you can. So she and her sons, they did go out and do that. But before we move on, just think about, what would you do if that's what you were told to do? Because that did sound pretty crazy. So would you have been saying, well, why you want me to do that? Well, what we gonna do when we get the jobs? What we gonna put in the jars? Why I gotta get jars? And what am I gonna do when I go knocking on by the door and they saying, well, what you want these vessels for? What you gonna do with them? I don't want folks all up in my business trying to see what I'm doing. Folks be trying to start stuff and they'll be saying, girl, you done seen Sister Susan going to everybody's house. Child, wonder what's going on at her house. Why she getting all these vessels? That's kind of crazy, ain't it? Y'all think she on that stuff? Because this don't sound right. But she didn't think about none of all that stuff like y'all be thinking about. She just did what the prophet told her to do. She was obedient. So she went, she got all the vessels and everything, and she didn't think about them looking at her like she was a deranged, crazy person coming to their house asking for their empty bowls. She was like, okay, this is what the prophet told me to do. So the man of God told me to do this. So that's what I'm going to do. So when they got back to the house, he told her that he wanted her and her sons to go in the house and lock the door. And just, they would give her the vessels and she would pour the oil into the vessels. After they filled up each one, then they would just set it aside and go to the next one. So she kept filling up the vessels. And then she said, okay, well, give me the next one. Well, that was it. They didn't have any more. So remember we said that he told them to not get a few, to get as many as they can. So she stopped her blessing when the vessel stopped. Because if they had more vessels, then they would have had more oil to pour in them. So basically, she determined how much she was going to receive. So just think about that. Her faith stopped at 20 vessels when maybe she could have had 50 vessels. I'm just saying. So anyway, after they ran out of the oil, she went to the prophet to let him know that all of the vessels were full. So he told her to go and sell the oil, pay the debts, and then she and her son could live off the rest. Now, think about what he said. He said, go and sell it and pay your debts. Now, he didn't say go and sell it and then go wilding out. You know how sometimes you get that money. She didn't go wilding out, buying her a big mansion or a Maserati or all these jewels or the red bottom shoes or or whatever it is. She did what he said, and that was to pay off the debt. Because that's why she was in this situation in the first place. So that would have been real crazy if if God provided that opportunity for her to get the money she needed and then she didn't use it for what she needed to use it for, that she was not a good steward. So, that was a lesson right there in being a good steward with what God has blessed you with. So, we're thinking that that's what she did because that's what the man of God told her to do. And she had been obedient to him leading up to that. So, but God showed her that he provided a miracle with what she had in her house. So if she hadn't been obedient, those results would not have been the same. It would not turn out the way it did. But she sought spiritual guidance, so that's what got her to that point. But how many of us think, oh well, I can figure this out. I got the answers. I know what to do. You just want to figure it out on your own instead of seeking spiritual guidance and going to God. But he's asking us that same question: what's in your house? She had the answer in her house. So, what's in your house? So, do you have ambitions and goals and dreams that just have not been birthed yet? What's in your house? What's in your house that's just hadn't been birthed out yet? Maybe you want to open a salon because you like helping women look pretty so they can feel better about themselves, kind of help build their self-esteem. And maybe you want to open a child care center because you want to be able to provide services for these parents that have to work. Maybe they might not have family members that can keep their children. Maybe you want to open a care center for the homeless because you have a heart for those who are homeless. Maybe you might want to write a book. A lot of people, I've heard some of my friends say, um, I always wanted to write a book, but they still haven't written that book yet. Or maybe they've started and just not finished writing the book. So maybe you have a heart for the elderly and you want to start a company like a care sitting company where you can go to their homes and provide a sitting service. Or maybe you provide a service that can go and maybe clean up their homes, or maybe you want to just go buy groceries for them or something like that. Just whatever. People have lots of dreams and goals and things that they would like to do in life. So whatever your dream is, the answer is inside your house. You have the mind of Christ and the wisdom of God. So the widow woman didn't think that she had much in her house, but what she had, the option that she had, provided an opportunity for her. And with that opportunity, she was optimistic that things were going to work out for her. So don't be a negative Nelly. That just really gets to me when people always got something negative to say. They ain't got nothing positive to say about nothing. And you don't even want to be around people like that. You just always looking at the glass half empty instead of half full. That just be okay. I digress. We gonna get back to y'all. Okay. We're gonna leave them negative people over there where they at. Okay, so first we gotta go to God. And then, you got to talk about what it is, whatever goal it is, whatever your ambitions are. Y'all going to have to talk about what you want to accomplish. So, okay, now you've done that. You find out that your pregnancy test is positive and you got a baby coming. Now, we ain't talking about no little bitty baby that you're rocking in your arms. We passed that point. But your business, whatever that business is, whatever that goal is, whatever that book is, that's your baby. And your baby is coming. So, but it's going to take time to go through the birthing process. So you got to be obedient to what God is telling you. So now you might think you know what it takes to get through this first trimester. Like I said a few minutes ago, how many of y'all think y'all know what to do and how to do, and you don't need to ask nobody? You don't know. So God got the steps laid out for you. But you got to be obedient. You got to follow his prenatal plan. Because if you, for a healthy pregnancy, it works if you follow the prenatal plan that's laid out. And so along the way, you might have morning sickness. You might have a little nausea. You might have a few little ups and downs. But see, what you're going to get at the end. So, you're excited about what's going to happen at the end of the pregnancy. So you go through that. You go through the little small stuff, it's all right because you know what the end result's going to be. So then you follow everything through the third trimester. And then at the end of that, you got your book, or you got the salon or the care center or whatever it is that you were carrying. It's just birthed out in its full glory at the end of that trimester. So when we look at that whole situation, we know that God is in the plan. We have to be able to listen to God and just be obedient to what he says. And if we follow it through, things are going to work out just fine. And we have to realize that whatever we need is already inside of us. We have what we need. And God is just wanting to impressed that upon us, that, you know, we don't have to just be looking all around or just saying, well, no, I can't do this because of this, or this is not right, or that is not right. Yeah, everything's not going to be perfect. And you can't ever wait till you feel like everything is perfect before you get started doing what God has asked you to do, because you'll never get started. You just got to get out there and get started. And know that if you consult God on it and you follow his plan, his prenatal plan, take all the prenatal vitamins that he tells you to take, and eat the right food, eat the word, study the word, meditate the word, read the books that he tells you to read, maybe get the mentors that he tells you to get, or look at the videos, whatever it is he tells you to do as a part of that birthing process. Then that's what you got to do. But you just got to know in your knower that you can do it. Because with God, all things are possible. So just like that widow woman had what she needed in her house, you got what you need in yours. So I ask the question again, what's in your house? Just think about that. What's in your house? You got what you need in your house. All right. That's my message for today. So we last week we didn't say our closing, because I was at the beautiful St. Simon Island. See, I don't have no water behind me today. I like that scenery from last week when I had the water behind me, just so nice and peaceful. But hey, I'm back at home now. But it's all right. It's all good. So I am one and only one. I can't do all things, but I can do some things. That I can do, I ought to do. And by the grace of God, I will do it. Go out and have yourselves an amazingly awesome week, and I will see you here next Sunday.